Welcome back to My Tunes. Chas Cronk, Roy Hill, my guests this week. Roy, you mentioned yesterday the Beatles, Bob Dylan as influences for you. Chas, what about your musical influences, if you have any?
Roy mainly, but
It's the Mutual Admiration Society.
yeah. Well, I think the Beatles were massive and in my sort of growing up period. But my sister was 8 years older than me, so by the time she was sort of 17, 18 buying records, I loved Elvis Presley. She was bringing Presley in, and I never heard anything like it. And she was bringing all, used to be able to sneak her LPs on where she was out and things. So I had quite grounding in stuff. But the Beatles massively big, and of course around West London where I grew up, it was a big R&B area, of the old coming out of the blues. So you had the Pretty Things, the Yardbirds, all that. They were all big influences on us at school. Motown and Stax Atlantic I loved as well, all the acts on it, and Beach Boys. Yeah, you name it, all the...
Roy, the beauty of social media these days is that videos crop up on YouTube, which nobody's ever seen before. And I came across one a few months ago of the Roy Hill Band on Revolver in 1978. And bizarrely, that was compared or introduced by Peter Cook.
Yeah. Yeah,
and there's some great footage of you in the 70s there.
I remember doing. 1978 was that was the year that my first and last album for Arista came out. It was the year I met Chas, because that was the year I toured with Strawbs, and that program was called Revolver.
Yeah,
it was recorded at ATV in Birmingham. And what they used to do was they used to get a bunch of bands together, and then I think they edited them up later into what they felt would make the best show.
Yeah.
So the bands you were there with on the day weren't necessarily the bands that were going to be on the show that you were featured on.
Yeah.
So I remember that the day that I was there, Billy Idol was there. That was Generation X then.
Yeah.
Elvis Costello was there. And to be honest, I stood out like a sore thumb because the 78 was probably the pinnacle of punk.
Yeah.
I suppose I was trying to be a bit punk just to join in. So I was trying to sneer a bit and all of that kind of stuff. But I really wasn't. I was never sure why I was on there because you could tell their whole attitude was, everything about it was punkish. And I wasn't. I was really, don't get me wrong, I was really glad of the opportunity to be on it. It was great, but I did stick out. I wasn't what the other boys were, sort of thing. And because I remember a lot at that time trying to be more punk. I've got embarrassing tapes, where I'm trying to be ever more punk, and it really is pretty dismal stuff.
Chas, you don't strike me as a punk in any way whatsoever. Were you at the time or not?
No, not really. Not really at all. No, I mean, I guess I was with. Being with Strawbs in the late 70s, bands like that were, directly in the face of it, in a sense, So, you could see it changing the music business and the way the A&R people and the record companies started to look for music and what they wanted. It changed things a bit,
You came after the Part of the Union era of the Strawbs, did you not?
Immediately after, yeah. In fact,
you got away with not appearing on the Top of the Pops in those ridiculous costumes that they were wearing at the time.
I did, yeah. I mean, obviously, there was a kind of a reaction to all that within the band. Dave Cousins hadn't written Part of the Union, for instance. It was Hudson and Ford song via some American influences. But, so the band actually split up in the kind of aftermath of all that because it was way against what they'd been doing for the previous 10 years, and so... I was part of the new look, really. I came in with the drummer from Steelers Wheel, Rod Coombs, and a legendary sort of 60s keyboard player called John Hawkin from the Nashville Teens. And we all joined at the same time. And the idea was definitely to get it back on a more, shall we loosely say, arty, progressive rock track, and it worked in America. But really, the aftermath of Part of the Union here meant that British audiences were confused. So the band worked more in North America throughout the 70s than it ever did here.
Your song for today, Chas, what have you chosen as your first of two?
A shameless bit of self-promotion, really. I was thinking a Strawbs song from the 70s called I Only Want My Love to Grow in You.
Okay.
It was the nearest thing we got to a hit record, and if it hadn't been for some skullduggery, it would have been a hit record probably. But it certainly, was the first sort of thing I ever co-wrote with Dave Cousins that really got a lot of airplay.
Yeah.
Noel Edmonds' Record of the Week and that kind of thing at the time.
Yeah.
Maybe it sounds dated now, but it was I loved that as a kind of purely kind of commercial single.
Okay. Nothing wrong with a bit of self-promotion. Let's have a listen.
I